So way back in the day, we're talking a couple years ago, young Key, fresh and baby-faced in university, fucking around with sorcery, magic, all the fun stuff for the first time, and doing a lot of DKMU shit. And, fucking around, doing a bunch of work with primarily Ellis as a spirit
Hmm.
and just decide to have a little fun with it. Come around to my birthday one year, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go have a good time, a good dinner, and plan things for the weekend. It's just some random weeknight. Everyone's in class. I'm like, fuck it, take the day off, go out, have a good time. So I'm walking around the city that I'm in, and come across this like really weird looking ornate wooden door that looks like it's out of some like Dungeons and Dragons shit.
Hmm.
Like this is like old. And it's in kind of this alleyway that I, normally see, not usually there, behind this one restaurant that I really like and that I've taken Svinga to a couple times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I go inside and there is this cozy little space that has like this really long, like for lack of a better term, Skyrim style, like Jarl's office fire pit, the long rectangular one,
Oh, okay.
with a bunch of wooden Adirondack chairs that are cut of like rough hewn natural wood, still has like live edge and stuff like that. And in the back of the shop is a bar with a bunch of like espresso specialty coffee stuff lined up on it.
So it literally is like everything you could ask for. It's
Yeah.
your aesthetic. It's like you're a specialty coffee nerd. It's literally serving all these different coffees and ways of brewing them.
Mhm.
It's basically like the ideal place for you to discover on your birthday.
Yeah. And this older guy is working the bar, and there's this one other older guy who's just sitting in one of the chairs with a newspaper, just chilling, vibing, drinking coffee. So I get a cup of coffee, and it is the best I've ever had
Hmm.
in my life.
Hmm.
And this is when I was like peak nerd, like going to all the, best places in the States and even some places out of the country trying different specialty coffees of like competition quality and shit.
Hmm.
And this random cup that I have in this place, I'm like, this is the best I've ever had. And to this day, it's the best I've ever had.
Hmm.
And so I sit down, hang out, spend some time just kind of zoning out in the fire, reading, small talk with this older guy, just shooting the shit, leave, and, go home. Tell all my friends about this the following day, being like, I found this amazing coffee shop at such and such intersection. Like, we gotta go. And so they're like, all right, cool. Like, you're not normally this excited about shit. We gotta check this out. So we go over there and it's gone. The door is just not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? It was right behind this building. And there's like really distinctive graffitied murals and stuff like that that are on the walls surrounding this door. And I'm like, it was in the face of that mural on the wall. And we, start looking around different alleyways, stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, it was literally here yesterday night. And it's just gone. Still haven't found it again. And
And it's not like you missed it. It's not like, oh, like you just misremembered where it was. Like this was the distinctive feature
yeah.
around it where it is, and the door isn't there anymore.
Mhm. Still one of the weirder things.
What did you make of it at the time?
I was just kind of like, that was weird, and wrote it off. And I was like, some spirit fuckery is happening.
Mm.
And I think at the time I was still on the, oh, magic is real phase.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is what this art can do.
Mm.
And so I'm going to do this for the rest of my life and be as good at it as I can possibly get.
We just did a book club for this month on Dunya Rashic's book on jinn doppelgangers and Aquarian Sufism. And something that I love about like Jinn narratives and fairy narratives and these other kind of spirit narratives is this abduction thing where
Mhm,
you're not in necessarily just in trance. Like you're not necessarily in like deep meditation communing with spirits. They just take you randomly.
mhm.
And not always out of body, like in when you're in sleep or something like that, but like literally into a portal into their world
Yeah,
that doesn't look quite like that far off from yours, except for some key noticeable differences. And then you know, you from what you're telling me, you were basically taken in and given a really beautiful birthday, and then that was it.
pretty much, yeah, and I'm kind of laughing to myself about all the, taken narratives of don't eat the food and don't
Yeah.
drink the drink. I'm like, "That turned out alright." I think.
Well, I have to say, when we hang out, like, and we go to a restaurant or a bar, and there's a really good item on the menu, you always find a way to remake it. Like, if it's a drink, you'll be like, "Okay, it's this much bitters, it's this much this, it's this kind of tonic, it's this syrup." Like, you always have a good way of you have a really good sense of taste. And then, like, when we went to that Tibetan place recently, had those momos, like, they had, like, one that was, like, served in like, Afghan style sauce,
Mhm.
and then you replicated the sauce for like, because we were saying that was the best one that we had on the menu, and we ordered a lot of food.
Yeah.
Like, so much so we had to go to the corner shop, like, across the street, buy a bag of ice, and put it in our cooler.
Yeah, for the leftovers.
Yeah. But, having said all that, you've not replicated this coffee.
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
Haven't even come close.
Is it is it maybe just the type of bean it was?
I can't even explain, like, it
Okay.
was perfect because I they made it in, like, an espresso machine
Oh, okay.
and just, like, a, nice normal commercial one, like DeLonghi shit,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Damn, he's, like, really paying special attention to this shit, like, he knows what he's doing."
'Cause you have a great eye for that. Like, I mean, I've seen you smell coffee beans and be like, "This is obviously Kenyan, this is obviously Costa Rican, this is very clearly Ethiopian." Like, you have a very good sense of that, which I super appreciate, because 'cause I'm not a coffee person at all. And so it's really fascinating to see you just appreciate that art. But, like, hearing you say that it's almost, like, impossible to replicate this, because normally you just have such a good nose for, like, where something came from.
Mhm.
Was it, like, genuinely kinda otherworldly?
Yeah, it was
Mhm,
weird.
mhm.
I'm like, I've never had anything like this. I don't know what to compare this taste to.
Mhm.
I was like, "Whoa."
That's fucking awesome.
Mhm.
Be not alarmed at the frightful howls which you may hear. It's Svinga and build your own magic system key.
That's right. We are going straight back into Chaos Magic Land, and one of my favorite contemporary takes in Chaos Magic Land at that.
The people have been begging and pleading and negotiating. They've been fumigating petitions to you with incense. They've been anointing it in the four corners and the middle with oil. They've been sprinkling it and enlivening their petitions with holy water. Conjuring key to please go back to the DKMU episode and do a part 2. They want the second wheel or whatever it's called. They want, like, part 2. They want, like, more everything about that because it was a really fun episode and, you know, considering our usual kind of brand or style of, like, folklore and folk magic and, grimoires and different techniques from across the traditions we practice, chaos magic is really important to, you know, your development as a sorcerer, and that was a really fun episode. So people have been wanting this.
Yeah, totally, and I think, in answer to those burnt offerings upon God knows what altars, we are going straight into the Hexorian movement, a contemporary, offshoot slash outgrowth slash group of DKMU affiliated or DKMU familiar people who took things in a really interesting direction, specifically with regards to doing magic in the world around you in a way that is deeply pro-social
Mhm.
and deeply pro-community.
Most online occultists shrivel with fear at these words.
Yeah. Most online occultists shrivel at the first ritual instruction that we'll be discussing in a little bit being take a shower.
Oh my god. Stop. Well, listen, I do love that about this. Like, I hadn't heard of it much like DKMU. I wouldn't have heard of it were it not for you. And it's one of those things of like when you introduced me a little bit to this is like a fairly recent like outgrowth of all this, which already is very open source, right? In terms of like how you explain the DKMU to really work. So this is 2020 really is when it becomes somewhat codified, but is very much immediately open source, copy lefted as you will,
Copy wrong.
copy wronged. Yeah, I mean to be very much like take this and go play with it and variety spirits and go make the world a better place.
Mhm. Totally, yeah. And like, all of this material that we'll be talking about today in terms of primary sources is, available freely and legally
Mhm.
on the internet, usually through the DKMU website, um, as well as, a variety of other places. You can also, get hardcover and paperback copies of these books that are around, which, shout outs.
Mm. So if you're interested in this stuff, check out episode 11, the DKMU's Assault Against Reality, one of our real old heads.
Yeah,
Yeah, real Trifle old heads will know this one.
definitely that. And episode 12,
Oh yeah, the photo with
Mecca's,
kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
the goat.
The OG.
So this is a really emergent system of sorcery, really, that is, born of explorations with Ellis spinning out of the DKMU and with, a set of spirits that have a, very distinct kind of origin story with a calendar date and account of events.
Mhm.
But speaking of accounting of events,
Yes, remember to check us out at patreon.com/the Frightful Howls. We have a bonus episode every month created by and just for our patrons, a Discord server, an almanac, a monthly live called Book Club, where we discuss a text of your choosing, show notes for every episode, and a whole tier for monthly group spell work from us on your behalf. Also, remember to give us a like, a rating, and a review on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you may be listening to us. It helps us fight the demiurge of the algorithm and whatever demiurge is suppressing the Hexorian group's posts from appearing on my Facebook timeline.
fascists,
No,
kind
yeah,
of canonically fascists.
yeah, you're I mean, listen, well, we're gonna do like a far right occult like episode in which is just gonna be Key yelling about Renee Guénon and people who
Yeah,
think Evola is coherent.
literally, yeah.
Hmm.
We Ganon, Evola, throw some Dugan in there. We can
Hmm.
talk about the um, Father Coughlin.
Hmm.
We can talk about William Dudley Pelly, get
Hmm.
the silver shirts,
Hmm.
and the I am activity subsequently. We can talk about,
Hmm.
all manner of shit, best save for a time where I need to not be throwing Molotov cocktails in my life.
Yes. In Minecraft.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course.
And check out our services. Key offers personalized coaching in Molotov cocktails and magic and mediumship.
It's a joke to the feds.
Yeah. Sorcery for hire readings, custom talismans, oils, tools. I offer bulk and 5 minute readings. And Salt is offering his monthly astrological almanac for 2 more months on Patreon. He is very generously going to complete the 2025 issue, even though he is now leaving the podcast. As crushed as we are to announce this, it is something that we're really happy for him for because, well, he's left a beautiful letter, so you can read it in his own words on the Patreon. It's available for everyone to read it publicly. But really, like after manifesting something that he's been really working for super hard, and on top of the new schedule with his job and all the new obligations he has in climbing through that career path, he's not been able to make the time zones work for us. And as a result, we want to do our best to support him. We talked a lot about how to handle this. He's pretty crushed that he has to leave because, again, this is really a passion project for all of us. And he's really proud that we weren't missing a single upload really since the beginning of the podcast. But balancing the job on top of the obligations of the Patreon is just a little bit too much. His almanacs themselves take about 12 hours to write every month, so it's quite a lot. But he was very sweet, and we talked it over, the three of us, and he's gonna still complete this year's, and then following next year, that part will no longer be available. But as you know, the rest is still absolutely on board, and we'll be able to put out some more details about that coming soon. But for now, we wish him all the best and all of our love, and I'm really fucking excited for him because he really put in the practice of what he preached, and his magic and his spirits manifested him really a dream opportunity. And now our best way to support him is making sure that we can keep doing this. Uh, because in our last discussions, he was just like, you guys better crush it, and crush it we will.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, having said that, in honor of Salt, we are going to give you a new episode right on the schedule time, as his request. Yeah. So, lastly, hit us up on social media. You can find me at Dragon Cunning. You can find Key at barnowl.key. Salt is closing his social media, but he'll still be around in the server for some time.
Absolutely, yeah. So with that heartfelt message, let's get right into it.
This one's for you.
Oh, man. So, Hexorian Movement, as we mentioned already, is a more recent outgrowth of the practice of the DKMU as it sort of expanded and developed through its really open source materials and ethos of just try shit and interact with the world around you and make the magic work however it works for you. So I love a book that starts with the catechism.
No.
um, explaining what the fuck we're talking about. So to get into like the introduction to the Hexorian movement, in their own words, a community of occultists, artists, vigilantes, and other inhabitants of the social periphery of the underground scene that seeks cooperation, friendship, and support among its members, as well as making known the divine form that has grouped the movement, Hexorius, as well as expanding the scope of its message. And follow up, who or what is Hexorius? This is a spirit, deity, entity, hive mind
Mm-hmm.
of a city itself.
Mm-hmm.
It is a knowable point of an urban environment that can be interacted with and talked to for really favors,
Mm-hmm.
which is excellent. And to talk about like where this came from, there's a pretty distinct like start date being the 8th of August in 2020, and there's been a lot of material published on what actually happened here, but it is the outgrowth of a lot of experiments of Yahweh Alexander and kind of this adventure. So go check out the origin of the Hexorius and the Hexorius movement. It's all out there.
Mm-hmm.
Dream revelation, exploration, doing magic to reify the spirits that reveal themselves in the dream and actually test them. It's got all the good shit.
So when it comes to like a DKMU part 2, like why have you chosen this particular offshoot?
So this particular offshoot, a couple of reasons. One is I think it really responds to the current moment, um, in that it is deeply pro-social, as we mentioned at the outset,
Mm-hmm.
and it offers a lot of technology and almost refreshing takes, especially as the second wheel and additional DKMU got forms are still like kind of being explored and like being worked on and revealing themselves more and more to their devotees.
Mm-hmm.
But really, this speaks more to my like almost a love letter part the third now
Mm-hmm.
to Ellis and the matrix of spirits behind what that is.
Mhm.
Um, in that, Ellis is featured really prominently and directly lifted, invited from the corpus of the DKMU material. Like the extent to which any of these things are separate entities or are really blurry and intentionally so. Um, so the like specifically all these people like coming out of the DKMU, kind of splintering, but being still in regular communication, everyone being simultaneously members and non-members, because what the fuck is a membership in a chaos magic order other than saying you're in it?
Mhm.
Um, and the, yeah, really just following along that spirit that's been along for the ride
Mhm.
for me since the very start.
Gotcha, gotcha. And it is, having even just browsed it a little bit on your, recommendation, I really love the kind of urban animism of it.
Yeah,
Because there's such an emphasis on the spirits of the city being an ally, the kind of human collections of where humans live as, um, living egregores and beings that are also more than just mental constructs, are actually like fully independent, although interrelated to us.
right,
That kind of fluid animism of we do influence spirit manifestations with what we expect of them and what we codify about them, but at the same time they also exist outside of us.
right. This text takes a critical step that many um, chaos magicians do not, in my opinion, which is the acceptance of the ontological reality of spirits,
Yeah, right.
which is a bit of a dig and a bit of a joke at opinions that I held in the past. But
Mm.
I know what works for me,
Mhm,
and we go with that. But um, yeah, really, one of the things that is highlighted at the very beginning of what does this practice look like? What is a good offering in calling the spirit? It's that same force. It's to take care of the people around you and maintain good relationships and being in good relation to um, the people and the nature and the natural environment and constructed environment that is around all of us. Because by living in a city, we are living inside of this force that the authors and everyone working with this material is going to call Hexorius.
mm,
Like to it's kind of that idea of like being in communion with like a genus loci. It's like what is the best offering? It's, I don't know, pick up the trash,
uh-huh,
take care of the people who are co-occupying the space with you.
mm,
And being able to ask for favors and manipulate the environment in that way is not something that ends just because we lay down a couple bricks and put up some buildings.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. I, very much appreciate that one of the primary offerings that are in this book or in, like, the movement is trash collection, is, being, seeing the sacred in vagrants and the homeless and people who are struggling and who are on the streets, in making intentional mutual aid communities, a network. So, like, this emphasis of, like, the underground is interesting to me because there's a lot of kinda, like, cyberpunk aesthetics, like the advertising. There's a lot of kind of, like this kind of neon and chrome, the underground of the city, like the underbelly, like I don't know, like digital lights and so on and so forth, right? Which I think, when people I mean, I love cyberpunk, so
Yeah.
that's very, very much appealing to me, but, like, what comes out of that? Is it just this kind of, like, um, image of, like, gilded decay, which cyberpunk is often quite pessimistic as, like, a genre of writing and of creativity, but in here, there's an optimism, right? There's, like,
Yeah.
a sense of, like, no, what the underbelly is not just, like, getting into cool clubs and knowing the passwords to places or, like, falling in with, like, a Matrix-style cadre of, like, activists. Is actually about like feeding people who need food or like making like mutual aid networks where you can give like supplies to people who need it or like actually being able to give a space for people to like sleep and rest and be clean. It's like it's very practical in a way that isn't just about like sensationalizing, like basically making yourself feel like a cool hacker man, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that is a really beautiful encapsulation of like the kind of founding spark of what chaos magic is, which is do things that work,
Mhm.
seek results always,
Mhm.
and what is going to bring more results other than feeding someone who doesn't have food
Mhm.
or, giving clothes and resources and medicine to someone who doesn't otherwise have it.
Mhm.
And, putting a roof over someone's head,
Mhm.
if only for a day,
Mhm.
it's like these are those things that are espoused by many but done by few and ultimately are um, the things that work first
Yeah.
and foremost. So I think the part of why this material is so appealing to me is it lives the ethos
Mhm.
of the magic. It integrates the theoretical with the practical,
Mhm.
and that needs to happen with everything, in my view. Like I've kind of off the cuff mentioned it on the podcast in various places and episodes, and some of the stuff behind the paywall on Patreon. But like, if you are a wizard, you cannot seal yourself in the tower
Mhm.
because if you want results, what the fuck are you doing?
Mhm.
Being sealed in the tower. Why are you not living in the world? You know.
Mhm.
So I think part of that development comes into this, but the thing with living in the world as well here is there's the acknowledgement that the world is full of spirits, which I always find to be a wonderful place to start.
Mhm.
And it is that continued, reflection and reinforcement of being like, the world is full of spirits, period, not the world is full of spirits in this mystified natural environment. This is the fantasy of the cabin in the woods. It's like, no, they're there when you're walking down the street. They're in the house. They're in every room.
Mhm.
Um, so I think the acknowledgement there is important. And like, there's this call in the beginning of the text where one of the first exercises, interestingly, it actually lifts, some Yoruba vocabulary and ideas for this.
Yeah.
Because one of the interesting things about this group as well is a lot of its material is Spanish language and
Yeah.
comes out of the Caribbean, Central and South America.
Mhm.
There's a huge community of people in Mexico
Mhm.
for this, which there's some interesting stuff with like rapid urban development and kind of opportunities for economic growth in the cities where it's like kind of this parallel growing thing as and especially globally as inequality and oppression and fascism grow more and more popular. The spirits start to step forward and act as a sort of correcting
Mhm.
force, in my view,
Mhm.
as we'll see. But to get back to the exercise, it says, you want to place yourself in Ire.
Yeah.
You want to place yourself in communion with the spirits, making sure that everything is chill, that you are in line with your purpose. I'm not one to speak on the full theological and practical scope of Ire. That's definitely the place of, Orisha priests. But
Mhm.
um, this is this understanding in the text of what this means. And it follows up by saying everyone has a spiritual frame. So if possible, once a week, light a white candle, put fresh water on a temporary or dedicated altar for the spirits, and tell them that you are leaving this offering for the spirits that lend you their ashe.
Mhm. That's awesome.
And I'm like, damn, good place to start.
Yeah.
um, because like we start in all things with what is closest, what is around us, what helps us.
Mhm.
And so this is a very, obviously the hallmark of Espiritismo and related spiritist descended practices, but it's like, I don't know, man, candle and water and you'll fix your shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think part of the appeal to this too is that it draws on what I know to be effective,
Mhm.
just on like the personal level of like this material is interesting
Mhm.
because it starts from really strong first principles
Mhm.
of take care of your spirits, take care of your dead, and here are possible points of ingress through which to interact with the world around you when you might need help from something a little bigger, or if you need something to start with, here's something named that you can call.
Mhm. Mhm. And there is like a purpose, right, to the movement. You mentioned it's to form a virtual community with physical selves too,
Yeah.
where people act as agents of change in reality for their localities. This is including those basically anything that benefits those who need help: magical tagging, glamour bombing, activities of artistic nature, urban magic, social help, mutual aid networks. And I love that the central message that you see all throughout the work is like the city will feed us, meaning
Mhm.
that like it's mutual aid, right? Like the spirits and the people in the city will come to your aid, and you will come in response to aid them when they call on you. So I do, yeah, this is definitely a touch grass movement, which I really
Yeah.
appreciate. And it's
More of those, please.
more of those, please. Yeah, I notice the cultural inheritance also comes through, and a lot of the techniques are very much sourced from hoodoo
Mhm.
and other kinds of like. There's a lot of like dirt collecting. There's a lot of offerings and so on, which I quite appreciate, as well as like aspects of Mexican folk magic that you can see in pieces. But there's still that strong kind of DKMU undercurrent because Ellis is a part of this.
Mhm.
There's still a lot of recommendations for how to like channel her, and Hexorian himself is this kind of interesting spirit that comes around. Takes alcohol, cigarettes, coffee, sodas, right?
Like
Mm.
a lot of it it has all the hallmarks of what magic in the cities has come to look like in, South America really, or
Mhm.
Cuba or, Haiti, anywhere like this where it's you're gonna find candles, coins, candy,
Mhm.
liquor
Mhm.
at a crossroads on top of a thing drawn in chalk.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "That's familiar."
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to that same, we dive into this a little bit in our episode with our Tata and Kimanda, Jesse Hathaway Diaz,
Mhm.
where, where did these cults come from?
Mhm. Mhm.
Figuring out and kind of borrowing, stealing, using what is already familiar in the ritual vocabulary to interact with the world spirits around you.
Mhm.
And this just happens to be those guys who are around you when you are at every crossroads in
Mhm.
the cities and witnessing, the people of the street,
Mhm.
people of the cabaret, the people of the good people, to
Mhm.
borrow the term.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess to beyond just these ambient spirits, what is actually going on with like the pantheon of this movement? Because there are named spirits with sigil seals. It's a very similar DKMU outgrowth where we do find throughout this work, Ellis's all pervasive uh, fingerprints.
Mhm.
To those not familiar, go back and listen to the DKMU episode. But briefly, um, Ellis is the red lady of this um, sigil that looks like an overlapping L and S, a dot on the left side that
Mhm.
is the abbreviated, letter L, letter S, which is the linking sigil. It builds networks.
Mhm.
This is a spirit emerged out of it eventually, who is, a lady in red, which, hello again, Crossroads cult,
Yeah.
which, not
Mhm.
to say, but
Yeah.
to
Well,
say.
we did. Yeah, I think we mentioned that
Yeah,
episode. That is a little bit of embouchure there
yeah.
for sure.
There's something going on.
Yeah, also the, other spirits, I know you're about to get into it, but, like, when they say, like, the modern pantheon for urban witches, like, there's something very, like, Catizo about them.
Really, yeah, and it's kind of what I was pulling out with like the good people, right? Like
Mhm,
these are just weird emergent spirits who are like, I will do you favors. Here's a name.
mhm,
Here's something you can call me by. Give me liquor and coins and candles and start, smashing bottles places and then
mhm,
clean up the mess afterwards because we're not gonna leave broken glass all over the fucking city where people are walking around barefoot.
mhm,
Um, you know, and yeah, just becomes, to speak directly of Hexorius, it becomes almost this crossroads cult of the digital era.
mhm,
And, one of the names and one of the titles um, that come in for some of these spirits are quite literally the digital crossroads, and but not to get ahead of myself, Hexorius himself is, where did these names come from? They were revealed in a dream, which is my favorite citation ever.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It works great in Chicago style.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And it is this representation of the urban environment. It is the city in which you live, is this spirit, as well as, primarily hidden aspects. And in the text it notes, be they physical, be they immaterial. This is the other world that is in plain sight in our reality, that those with the eyes to look at it
Mhm.
can actually look at it. And this manifests itself, primarily here through synchronicities, chance encounters, graffiti-mancy,
Yeah.
the text written on the wall in the right place at the right time with the sigil you recognize, and everything stems forward from that. This is anomalous, weird shit. This is the door in the alleyway that isn't there
Mhm.
the next day. This is, the bus that comes right when you sit down at the stop and leaves not on schedule.
Mhm.
This is the person who comes up to you, hands you what you need,
Mhm.
and the all of these fun things that you start encountering when you start calling on spirits and blessing yourself for luck and opportunity and being in right relationship of the place that you're in.
Mhm.
So just to name through the grimoire, other names including the Lord of Portals, the Mirror World, the Shadow City, um, doing the classic DKMU thing, equivocating them with other deities and also characters in fiction or works of fiction. So this
Mhm.
is very, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is what's given here, which, of course, to those familiar with the original DKMU material, it's going to be all the fuck over the place.
Mhm.
And the function being given as guiding the magician to unknown physical or mental locations, to find answers that were not previously known, to give guidance and refuge to travelers and vagrants, chance lucky encounters, and is the guide and patron to, quote unquote, the lost souls
Mhm.
of cities. So again, very Cathiso. There's a little weirdness. There are echoes here.
Yeah.
There are there are things that are familiar.
Mhm.
And, invocation, shout outs to Randonautica. I know people went a little crazy with that a couple years ago, especially when this was, like, first being written about and developed, beginning of the 2020s before everything went sideways.
Mhm.
Um, and, other kind of, like, weird phenomena, like, up to and including, stage magic phenomena that make people think one thing is happening or make people think that a door leads somewhere where it doesn't, and all of that is fun.
Amazing. So that's Ixorius.
Yeah, and to follow through with just some interesting stuff like, Valdas, the inverted city. This is what is called in the text the assault on the vertical city. This is, fuck anyone who is stealing from those beneath them.
Yeah, it's like he has a bit of a guerrilla warrior
Mhm.
hint to him.
The spirit of punching up.
The spirit of punching up, yeah, and distributing energy to the people. So he's got like a very revolutionary vibe to him for
Mhm.
sure.
It's the Robin Hood shit going on here.
Mhm, mhm. But not Robin Hood like Crypto Robin Hood.
Oh, man. And following along with this, we come to Santa Clara,
Yeah,
which
what's going on with that?
okay, so
'Cause the other ones have, like, very, like, thematic names that sound like something a chaos magician would channel, but, like, what's up with Santa Clara?
yeah, so this is not the Santa Clara,
Mhm, okay,
but kind of is,
okay.
in that, she serves many of the same functions and is one of those instances of a spirit borrowing the name of a pre-extant force
Yeah,
and thereby taking on some of those qualities and being now in relationship with the original thing because
mhm.
when you call a name, something will answer.
Yeah, like in Kimende where Eshu comes from Eshu and
Mhm.
Bombajira comes from Pambunjila, which is also a male crossroads deity, and now
Exactly.
it becomes, like, monikers for, like, Mr. and Mrs. or, like, Sir and Ma'am.
Mhm.
For as a gendered spirit names. But then also you have like we've had this experience, right? We're doing like some kind of conjuration, the spirit shows up and you're like, what's your name? And they give you like the name of a star or the name of a deity. They're like, yeah, my name is, let's say, I don't know, like Hermes or something. You're like, are you like the Hermes? And I'm like, I didn't say that. I just said I'm Hermes.
Mhm.
And of course they can kind of point out and like, wasn't your name, I don't know, let's say David? Like,
Yep.
also that's a David. Are you the David that fought against Goliath? Well, what David are you then? And like obviously they can joke with you in that way. But there is still a why would you give your kid a saint name? It's so they can have the patronage and the protection of that saint and some of its qualities, right?
Exactly, yeah. Where you're
Mhm.
like, "Family of sailors, I'm gonna name my kid Nick."
Yeah, yeah.
That type of thing. So this is Santa Clara. This is, I think one of the more poetic and, like, beautifully written about spirits in the tradition because this spirit is the force that at your most depressed and despondent and miserable makes you get out of bed and go take a shower.
Mhm.
This is the catabasis following the dark night of the soul. This is the hope when there is nothing.
Mm.
And I think in that there comes some of the Saint Clair, um, the OG Santa Clara. And the way that they phrase it is the guide on the path of darkness, the guide in the labyrinth, the one that faithfully accompanies our steps and where we must travel while we achieve our ascent, the one who silently helps us, the one who silently motivates us, and the one who simultaneously accompanies us to the exit.
Mhm.
So this is the get up and do. This is the get up and walk
Mhm.
when there is nothing, which is um, something that's always very beautiful. Herein lies the Lucifers of the world,
Yeah.
and the as our Tata has written about the Lucifer of every moment
Yeah.
is found here. And again, like the commonalities in this ritual vocabulary are striking in that it arises out of the same circumstances,
Mhm.
just offset by time. And I think, an exploration to go back a little bit of the sigils that are given for each of these spirits, because there's a one given for each as a way to call, manifest the energy of, to be drawn as a working all into itself as you pronounce what you want over it. Um, Hexorius is this classic, like, almost like Bluetooth looking bind rune, where it is it's a crossroads with an axis mundi
Mm.
inside of a box. And what is a box if not the borders that we impose upon a city and say you have a name?
Mhm.
And going back into Valdas, this is Black Triangle Doombringer 156663
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of that we find in the DKMU, but really is diagramming out this like flow of Ashe, this flow of Forza
Mhm.
that is you know going from down to up, up to down, and always, stabbing upward with that spear.
Mhm, mhm.
But the Santa Clara one is, a line between 2 points and just a big back and forth, like wavering serpent originating from beneath, and always fun for what that spirit's about.
Mhm.
Then to get into Arcadia briefly, phrase is both an entity and a purpose,
Ooh.
which is the knowable point of the goal of the movement,
That's
which is a bit of like a retrocausal interface that you petition to make real what you hope for.
would you say it's a hyperstition?
It is absolutely a massive hyperstition.
Massive.
Fucking wicked material here.
Jungle is massive.
Oh man, but yeah, so represented as a fox-faced woman or a woman wearing like a fox mask, often appearing in like these solar punk visions.
Okay, first of all, that's awesome, and secondly, I love solar punk spirits, and thirdly, there's a little, like, follow the white rabbit, I
Oh
think, with
yeah.
Arcadia, this kind of where the urban becomes the non-urban, where like nature is much broader than just that what we perceive to be apart from humanity.
Yeah, and just to look at like the sigil here and the way that that's like reflected is it's just the Hexorius seal, but wiggly, wavy, less rigid boundaries and hard edges,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're right.
and showing that these things can be more integrative. That one does not need to come at the expense of an other because the other is already here. We just have to look at it. And kind of as a follow through of that, it's who is an agent of this change. What is happening. This is the spirit that they're calling Eliora, who they compare to all of these crossroads and knowledge goddesses. Like Hecate Reflex is found here. Nike is named, Sarasvati is named, Athena is named, but this is they literally reference the Matrix for what this is.
Yeah.
Which is endearing in the chaos magic way of like, sure, does it work? Cool. Let's fucking do this.
I'm telling you, this is cyberpunk. Like, yeah,
it is.
This is like Ghost in the Shell. This is Aeon Flux. It's giving 90s and 80s sci-fi anime,
which I fuck with it. Yeah, this is
Technolize.
Cyber Ellis.
Yeah, Cyber Ellis.
But yeah, this is a spirit who was already being worked on by the DKMU under other names, but first came forward another spirit with a birthday, which I kind of love, 2nd February 2022. But yeah, facilitator of knowledge, facilitator of connection, working with the internet. So like put the shit in your computer, etch it into the reverse of the second pentacle of Mercury or some shit. But yeah, this is the cyberpunk hopes and dreams of the aesthetics of this movement made manifest as a spirit who's like, yeah, I fuck with that. Which, I kind of love. And kind of the follow through of all of this is there are what are then referred to as the paramentals and the urban fae, which I think is really cheeky and love the aesthetics of it. But
oh my god, is this the concrete gnomes part?
This is the concrete gnomes part because this is just elementals. This is Levi's like gnomes, salamanders, elves. But instead of sylphs, there's angels.
So concrete gnomes, steel salamanders, crystal elves, and electric angels.
All good band names, by the way.
Yeah, it's giving Orange Goblin.
Yeah.
It's giving Wizard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's giving Electric Wizard. But yeah, good shit. But these are, just reflexes of elementals. These are literally elementals that are just found in the urban environment. What is concrete gnomes are just earth spirits that live in the concrete.
Yeah.
That live in the walls.
It's like the magic that requires you to get any plant that's growing from the cracks of concrete because it's powerful and is able to overcome extreme adversary.
Concrete gnomes hate this one trick.
Yeah.
But then like steel salamanders, which is an understanding of those things that keep everything upright.
The foundations.
Yeah, the force of expansion, the force of transport, strength, power, endurance, growth, passion are named as like the attributes of what these spirits are about. So I think, thinking less literally about what is a steel salamander rather than a magic card, that are like just any elemental that is going to just do brute force is found here. And crystal elves, glass reflections, cameras, tall buildings, high vantage points, anything that for those of you who have cultivated the spirit sight, when you're walking around the city and you look at that weird reflection in the mirror and suddenly there's like something standing next to you, you turn and there's nothing. That's this. The spirits that are found in the surprise of that moment. Called upon in the system for divination, clairvoyance, intuition, that type of thing. And then electric angels, spirits that are connections that are the nerves that connect everything. For all of those ecology papers that are like cities are living beings because they follow the model of like predicted heart rate for mammals, it's like, maybe something to that here. But yeah, communication, knowledge, that sort of stuff. And I love the approach to the terrain of saying, where are you? I'm online, which is very cyberpunk, but it addresses kind of an interesting question of like, how do you do magic on the digital sphere? Here's like the 1% opacity on the 1% image in the corner of whatever you're presenting. Or here is, the not to shitpost and invoke like the emoji spells of old, but like to charge reblog to cast moment. I think it's trying to do what that did not, which the effectiveness of which remains to be seen. But I think the asking the question and trying to answer it is important, because it's just meeting more and more needs of a present moment and where we find ourselves and what we're doing.
Yeah. So I think with these kind of spirit classes, something that comes to my mind as well is like we mentioned there's like a Tiso like vibe to them, right? So these kind of charmed dead, Mavambo, like the way that Eshu and Pumbajita are, because there's an Eshu of the trash, there's an Eshu of the mud, there's an Eshu of the nightclub. And I think that this idea of like the steel salamanders, right? The spirits of the foundations of cities, the spirits of like the skyscrapers, the spirits of the main bridges and so on. Like that's, I mean, very true. Like I've never called them by these categories. I did think they're cute though.
Yeah.
There's definitely something very appealing about them, but it is like, absolutely, we may not call that like necessarily like a steel salamander, but you could say like there's, for example, like an issue of the skyscraper or the bridge, and like new ones are being born every day. That's part of the tradition. Like we understand that, like, give it 50 years and pop cultural references from various things will get incorporated into the way the spirits express themselves in many traditions. But here, even in this kind of notion, I love the animist's emphasis that like urban environments are not less magical. It's not that like, oh, only the most remote kind of forest covered huts is where the real witch lives. It's like, yeah, but like we magic is everywhere and spirits everywhere, and only if you are disenchanted to the point of thinking that these things are not relevant, that's when you lose the cunning, that's when you lose the eye for the spirit world.
Yeah, it's like that classic exercise of, drop someone into a room and say, I need a spell for money. Do it with the things that are in this room. Or, go out somewhere downtown. Be like, you have 10 minutes to gather all the plants that you need to make a bath to cleanse someone of a spirit and build them back up. Or being able to be in the world and have a fluency in your world of what do you do? What do you do when you don't have the ingredient? What do you do when you have to do it with what is in front of you? And I think a lot of the intersection and a lot of like the worldview here is tied to address need, not address want or not engage in theory. It's just do with what is there, which I love because that is, in my view, always going to be more effective and more immediately beneficial to your situation and the situation of whoever you're working with. So kind of as a follow on to this, there's a section that I love, which is like the Hexorian Book of Shadows.
Yes.
Which I'll keep going back to this throughout the episode, but I just love how unapologetic the aesthetics of this are. And I think it's just it warms my heart in a way that other magical material does not. Because it reminds me of all of the bullshit that I put on the internet where I was exactly doing this.
Really? Yeah. It's like late teens, key. on various chaos magic forums and Tumblr accounts.
Legendarily beefing with people on Tumblr.
You were oh yeah, I guess you were always one to fight. I remember a little bit of that when I met.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
That was a disaster.
It was a disaster.
That was a disaster. Oh man, but I think one of the good things about this text is it actually build like I was saying earlier, builds from first principles and like builds people up from where they're at. And approaches um with this great understanding of being like you are forging a link with very broad categories of spirits, the spirits of the dead and the city around you and the local spirits. And when you get to the basic request ritual, it's you will come into contact with all of the elementals. You will come into contact with the spirits of the dead, your dead, and the dead of the place you're in. You will come into contact with like the elements, TM, and you need to know how to deal with and manipulate all of these things. So the dedication ritual, which is really just how to give an offering, it goes with offer them water. Start with water, the thing that you always must go back to.
Yeah.
And from there, go to candles. And it gives this great exercise that might come directly from Jan Fries as a source that they're in dialogue from with visual magic, but you offer the glass and you charge the water in it with uh strong intent, prayers, breath. The more you call the spirits forward, the more you call what you want forward, the stronger it is. You keep calling until it clicks and that is in the water, and then drink it or pour it on the thing or use that because it will be better than nothing. It's like if you must go back to something, go to water, candle, prayer, communion.
And then there's like a petition, right, where you basically ask the various spirits, right, the concrete gnomes, the crystal elves, and so on and so forth, like, and Hexorius to give you something, to nourish you, and then you essentially say like we're friends, like, and you promise to nourish them in return.
Totally, yeah, and it's very beautifully open source Wicca. Where it's like, you have your altar with the 4 elements, you put the candles in the direction you call to the different spirits. I love the prayer for lighting candles that's given, which is the "Oh light, there is no darkness. Oh light, we are in the presence of endless light," which I like. And you go through, like you said, doing the dedication, asking for all of the spirits named, all of the spirits unnamed to aid and assist you. And the beautiful thing, like in that prayer, I offer myself to the service of the great Lord of the Shadow City, which is very black metal in a way that I also love. But yeah, you offer yourself to service, importantly. You don't offer yourself to the spirit, you offer yourself to doing the thing and alignment with what is happening. And it gives that great mediumship development tip of you sit and you wait and you listen. And that is where community begins. And so there's a more developed version immediately following of like essentially calling the quarters, like come over here, spirits in the north, the concrete gnomes, and is really just adapting Levi in a way to this that makes sense internally, which I kind of like, and follow through with same prayers into the candles, requests to gain from the spirits, which always starts, "Dear spirits of the city, you are my friends," which I love. Reminds them to come friendly.
Yeah.
Reinforces that whatever the fuck you're calling better be nice. And it also just immediately is like, we're chilling.
Yeah, it's all those like petition songs and different traditions that are meant to get a spirit to show up, and it's like telling, oh, the spirit's so loyal, the spirit's so generous, the spirit's so kind, and really that's just telling the spirit show up with those characteristics.
Yeah, or you will not get this chicken. And that's really all there is to it. And one of the offerings it suggests giving is the most classic when you have nothing almost, which is the give them time and rub your hands together and give them warmth.
Yeah.
And
I think that the first time I encountered that was in Jason Miller's Sorcerer's Secrets, because that's like the offering ritual that he gives, right? You rub your hands together really, really fast, and you turn them up, and then the heat from your hands leaves.
Yeah, I don't know where I first saw that. I think I just saw people doing it, and I'm like, cool, I like that. But it is a classic, and it is better than nothing. And I think with a lot of the ethos of this, in kind of the way it gears itself toward those who have never encountered magic as an art beyond the realm of fantasy, it says, we're going to assume you're starting with nothing. And if you are in as much need as many of us are when we turn to this shit, you might be close to nothing. So let's start with something. It's that same reflex of when you have nothing, this is the tool.
Yeah.
This is what will save your ass when nothing else has. And similarly, what will save your ass beyond magic is spirits. And so the next part of this text is they call it mind-powered development, which is very Barden, very new avatar power, and I fuck with it. But this is how to develop mediumship and how to develop mediumship in a good way, in my opinion, at that. Which, thank God. But it really gets back to that essence of it's very simple. You take time off from what you're doing, you sit and you focus your mind and your attention on the spirits, and you attune yourself to how they will respond. And that is really just meditation by another name. You watch your thoughts, determine their origins. Did it come from you or did it come from something else? And you talk about that. And they make reference to the Upper Emmeline and talks about the importance of confession and directly says, this is not confess your sins in a, oh my God, I'm a horrible fucking person confession.
Yeah.
But it allows you to be open and speak from the heart and to share your hopes, fears, vulnerabilities, and take account of, your own actions to the spirits around you, and builds up that relationship by saying, let's just cut through the bullshit. Here is what's up. Here's what's going on. Here's why I'm talking to you. Here's, it could be, I fucked up here. I need help. Or it could be just, I'm chilling, hanging out, which I love because it really just says, like, thick or thin, we all know those spirits that are going to be there for us.
Yeah.
And start talking to them. So one of the follow-on exercises that I really like is called the Holy House, where you build an astral temple, for lack of a better term, and it even pokes fun at itself by saying, remember how all those cheesy 80s and 90s how-to books advise us to build an astral temple brick by brick? It says this is similar, but it's not the same thing. And it's not the same thing because it acknowledges the reality of spirits who can come into the house you built.
and that you project to the spirits plane to actually learn from them, as opposed to inviting them into your, like, mental palace, as it were.
Exactly.
It's a very oh God, what's the term? Transvocation from Trombley, right? Like, well, you meet in the middle. Yeah, which I think is the purpose of most conjurations, really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's because you're making the environment more suitable to them. You're not just like plucking them out of thin air. But similarly, when you leave your body and you meet them in that halfway place, that's what you're trying to do, but make it easier on both of you.
Yeah, and on that, like, raw alchemical level, your soul is being impressed upon as much as the soul that you are calling. Like there will be contagion. Like in that things will spread. If by it's one of those funny things where it's like you decide to do the ritual, that's when it starts.
Yeah.
And those you decide to make the tools, the spirits will start to come even before you do the conjuration, even before you do the ritual, because they'll be watching.
Yeah.
Like the ritual has started. Everything is follow on. And, they will, even when dismissed, they linger in some way because the effect they have left behind is there. And the effect of the memory of the experience and what it has done to you as the magician. And I think that's a good thing, even in the coercive evocations and subjugation and exorcism and stuff like that. Is that you're doing the thing. And so, in continuance of this, mediumship development and the way that you are building yourself up, it segues into dream and the importance of being able to commune with spirits in dream and dream true in to use that parlance of like just to see shit. And they give the same advice that I give, which is get a notebook when you wake up, write down your dreams. If you don't remember them, write down I don't remember having any dreams. And that way, I don't know why it works, but it just works. And we go from there.
Yeah. Like I said, I really appreciate the animism of this movement. I appreciate the way that it can be like a starting point for many people. I also love that it just tells you like be polite when you're in the cemetery, bring a coin, bring some tobacco, that cleanse off with rice when you're exiting, which is funny. I usually cleanse off with coins, but like I like that too, just throwing rice over your shoulder. Like how to make a introduction, having 21 cents, right? Which is, you can see the numbers too, right? And also just like ritually collecting grave dirt. There's like a spell book with different things, including like notes on like where to gather things, which kind of goes into one of our recent episodes, gathering material redux. Also like waking the city, it quotes Gordon White's Pieces of Eight as well, of like calling a different city that you're not living in. And understanding like what those bridges are, tagging things with the Ellis sigil as well, noting that you don't have to make it like big graffiti. You can put it on a rock that you then put face down somewhere in the forest. Which is also fun.
Yeah, there's even, borrowing other ritual technology for like how to make a magic mirror, and it's straight up, from Tyson and includes, Key of Solomon pentacles. And it does what we all do, which is take from what works. And integrate and use and go forward from there. And there's a really funny section in here which really says it comes directly from Kimbanda, which is they throw 4 shells and in the form of bottle caps, which we have our thoughts about, but ultimately it's like something will answer. What that something is up to you to figure out as a magician, but something's answering. And that go from there.
And then also, just quick aside, but like the whole grimoire is basically co-authored by many authors, which I love, and sources some anonymous contributors, as well as like citing books that they all liked and integrated into their techniques. So there's the mentions as well of map magic, right? Drawn from someone who made a suggestion in, I think, Tommy Kelly's 40 Servants Facebook group. But what was interesting, it was basically like you draw sigils over your house that you print off. And for what you want to bring in, you're jujuing, you basically like a tag lock or like a personal concern of your home through a picture as opposed to just putting things in your home. And you guys know I've shared this technique how many times, but I'm like, print off your city and do a Kamea of Jupiter on it, and then go 1 and then 2 and 3 all the way to 16 and plant things there or gather things from there, and like to try and boost your wealth accruing capacity, and do that for other Kameyas depending on how brave and how much time you have. Though you can't always do this in every, like once a day, but you can do it over a period of days, over a period of time. And here's another version of that, right? You can place sigils over an enemy's house or place a worker institution, and then maybe carry that over into going there physically and doing more juju that way as well.
Mhm. Yeah, take the, take all those maps at the end, burn them down to powder, and blow them as ash onto the door of whoever you're fucking with.
Mhm.
Speaking from, Minecraft-based, experience.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, they get into a lot of, what is called, in the text, urban shamanism,
Mhm.
which is, again, emphasizing by other names and other techniques. What do you do to integrate into the environment, integrate into the world of spirits that happens to be our world?
Mhm.
And we get to the tips that are provided, where it's, part A, go out into the street a lot.
Mhm.
Observe the world that you are in.
Yeah, like, know what your actual local stuff is. Like, I've always firmly believed that before you get excited about, like, some plants that don't even grow where you are, or, like, the mythology, something that is, really far away, that you have to make a pilgrimage there. I think it's important to think, like, what is near you? Like, fall in love with your city. I really like, everyone people know I love the city in which I live in, and not because it's not its problems, or not that it doesn't have its own issues or its own, like, gentrification and so on, but I love its spirits because I live here, and I would love another city just as much if I lived there. Like, and when I travel, I try and really love where I'm traveling to. Like, have a real radical optimism, and kind of like, and being very life affirming with the spirits there is a form of offering.
Mhm.
And so, knowing, like, this is the graffiti, or this is like the research, they tell you, like, research the history mythology of the city. What is it named after? Who, like, what important events happened here? I love studying for those, like, ghost walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, like, being like, "Oh, it's haunted, whatever," and then, like, take out those books, they have cool stuff, and, like, they'll be like, "Okay, this is what happened here," and, like, "Here's, like, a famous site that you should probably, like, check into. Who are some famous people that are buried in these places that, like, had a huge amount of influence over the
Mhm.
city? Who were some of the people that these streets are named after?"
Totally, yeah. And, like, the ghost walk reminded me, if you wanna test your exorcism,
Mhm,
go to one of those places,
mhm.
do your thing, and see if they take it off the website.
Oh my god. Well, yeah, I think that was the second episode we
Yeah.
did. The very second episode, was actually one of Salt's. It was on exorcism and antiquity, and you told that story.
The OG, the dog factory.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah, and kind of, to that point, the same tips, like, learn from the history and mythology, like you said.
Mhm.
Learn where the places of power are.
Mhm.
Like, what is a place where you can, this blends back into, like, the dirt sorcery of it, but, like, where's the nearest bank? Where's the nearest fire station? Where's the nearest police station? Where's a park? Where's the square? Where's the market? Where's the, um, highest point within a 10-block radius?
Mhm.
What is the lowest point within that same radius?
Where do these spirits congregate? Where do those spirits congregate? Like, the finding the zones of power thing is good. I also, knowing what offerings they like, knowing who as actual people tend to gather there. Um I what let's say you pick, like, 5 streets you tend to spend a lot of time on. Maybe they have your favorite coffee shop, maybe you work there, maybe, like, your friend lives nearby, or you tend to just go to this place. I firmly, like, stand by the principle of finding out, first of all, who are these things named after? Like, let's say there's, like, a John Street. Who was John?
Yeah.
And then look into, like, what are the kind of places of power near here? The synagogue seems to have a lot of spirits gathering around it, for example. Or, like, oh, here in this one alley in Chinatown, there's a little Taoist temple. Or there is a meat market in which there is a very, very active Guan Yu shrine that is sitting above the butcher. And every single day I walk by, there's new offerings. And every time the butcher is cleaving meat in front of that shrine, and that shrine is activating, and it is popping the fuck off. So or, like, outside this one acupuncturist clinic, there is a red solo cup filled with ash and incense that is constantly being refilled. Like, what are these little things that are happening? And kind of take note there and leave some coins.
Mhm. Totally, yeah. And I think in taking note of what the spirits are around, one of the things that the text immediately gets back to is divination.
Mhm.
How do you be in communion with these spirits?
Mm.
And step one, augury.
Mhm.
Are you familiar enough with the environment to
Omen,
know
yeah.
what is an omen?
Mhm. And what is not an omen,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the, kind of getting into, um, there's some fun techniques given where it's like mediamancia, where it's like the classic, like, go on an omen walk and read the graffiti.
Yeah, or TV Mancia,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love TV mancia, which is Excellent. Where it's you're essentially making a spirit box for yourself
Mhm.
where you just flip through the channels,
Mm-mm.
which is really fucking funny. And I'm like, before you do these techniques, please have discernment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Please know what you're doing. Unless you drive yourself fucking crazy.
Mhm.
But yeah. If you're on your ship with your augury game, go for it. And the classic DKMU style, like, linking technology, I guess, where it goes into, what is a totem? And in its use of this term, it's like, find a symbol that is appearing randomly and frequently in, like, everyday situations. And once you find that, start integrating it into some sort of, like, sigilization or image or mantra, like very chaos magic style, like
Mhm.
just anchoring it to something in the world and use the virality of this image that it is already displayed by being around
Mhm.
to add virality to whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's more gods. But this is like a later section in the book where it's the part from Eduardo Ramirez on urban shamanism where he kind of proposes his own additional pantheon, a goddess of neon
Mhm.
and direction and illusion, a god of garbage, a god of taxis.
Love a garbage god.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And a spirit of traffic.
Mhm.
Taxi god is fascinating too, as well as a cell phone god, but I like the taxi god being like the keeper of secrets
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
which is really great. And is just creating knowable points of ingress into what is happening in these cities.
Mm-hmm.
And that in to go back to it, that same kind of sprawling Katiso way,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like if you're a Kimandero or a Kimandera, there are issues everywhere.
Yeah, no, it's very true, and that's you and I are obviously initiating Kimenda, but one thing that we can't help but make that comparison. But I also think that this people can be very dismissive of chaos magic sometimes, right? People can be kind of eye rolly and be like, "Oh, that's not like that's not real folk magic." But folk magic, like, what is folk? Right? That
Mhm,
our perennial question on this podcast. Like, tradition doesn't have to be old. Tradition is just means that more people are doing
mhm,
it, and for something to be folk, it means to have to be of the people. It has to actually be something that continues beyond someone's idiosyncratic impulse. And at this point, this is creating folklore.
yeah,
I mean, that Facebook group that I was talking about earlier, I mean, it's a pretty, large network, right? Like, it's, 1,000 over 1,000 people.
yeah, totally.
Mhm.
And, like, even beyond that, like, Reddit, Discord, like, seeing these communities and being in them where people are like, "Hey, who's in Mexico City right now? Like,
Mhm.
we're gonna go do this ritual together, and then we're gonna go, make a bunch of food and give it out to the people we find on the street."
Mm,
That type of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is following along with the goal of here is a real life application. Here
mhm.
is integration of the magic that's happening. But yeah, the ultimately that gets back to the point of, like, this is a pro social magic.
Life affirming,
Yeah.
yeah. And no urban decay, only, uh, urban
Flourish.
flourishing. Yeah, there we go, thank you. No perish, only flourish.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Mhm.
like the in that same way of who are the folk, this actually concerns itself with that question because of its we are the folk.
Yeah, and,
But
like, if you're gonna claim magic from a particular culture, what are you doing for that culture? What are you doing to honor those ancestors and the elders that have lived and died for this tradition? So in this way, I think with this being so open source, the idea is take it and run with it, like, use its sigils or don't. Like, if this just inspires you to be more animist within your city, then great. If you wanna use these names and seals, great, but it's not like there's no dogma behind, there's no, like and they even say, like, who the hell knows what Ellis and Hexorius are? Hexorius seems to be almost kinda like a response to Ellis in some ways.
mhm,
But really it's just about in many ways, like, there's an activist angle to this, there's an emphasis on mutual aid, which I really appreciate. I can see this being like a fun way for people to kind of tag things and kind of create loose, agglutinated,
mhm,
forms of movements. But I also think it's a great way to kind of be like, well, go out and actually like be somebody who makes a positive change for the environment which you live in. Pick up trash, like donate to a food bank, like an offering to a spirit could be, without any acknowledgement necessarily of like magic TM, is joining a volunteer group and promoting something through that. And you don't have to make it into like, okay, everyone's doing an offering ritual now to the spirit. It can just be like, let's under your breath, you're like, I dedicate my time and my effort to this. I really appreciate this. It's definitely outside the realm of the stuff that I usually interact with. So your exposition is really lovely, and you've been talking about it for a bit now, and I think it's been nice to just kind of see something fruitful that has come out of much writing on the internet, and many, sometimes less, sometimes more well-adjusted perspectives on these different spirits and the kind of, shall we say, attention that they tend to accrue for themselves. But, what I would say is, for a movement, for be to be spiritually successful, you need to have some guardrails, some protection against imposter spirits that might pretend to be different constructs because they want attention.
Mhm.
So I would say that one thing to do with movement, with any system like this, is just to be especially judicious in what you're calling. But vetting also comes from multiple people experiencing the same thing, and vetting through divination and vetting through that. So I think if you're gonna kind of systematize new class of spirits, just be sure that we're all gonna meet new spirits that have never been described before. Like that's
Mhm.
the spirit ecology is so vast that no one can possibly describe definitively all categories of beings. But definitely just be careful and rely on spirits you definitely trust to help you vet them too.
Yeah, totally. Like, I think even just taking this book as a skeleton and saying, who is that for you? Who is Hexorius in your
Mhm.
city? Who
Mm.
is, um, who is Santa Clara for you? Who is that
Mm.
spirit who will pull you out of that darkness?
Mm.
And it's each of these things is going to have a reflex. Each of these things is going to be able to be mapped onto whatever it is you're doing already with your own spirits and your own practice. Um, and who is it that comes when you call
Mhm.
is an important question, but knowing that in a world full of spirits, when you start to call, when you start to do, not to riff on Shakespeare here, but something will come, and hopefully that's that will something that will help,
Mm.
something that will make you live a more fulfilled and better life than you did the day before.
Mm. Beautiful.
So that's Victorious.
Thank you, Key. I appreciate you giving us a little throwback to one of our early Chaos Magic episodes.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. Always happy to go back to the roots,
Mhm.
and in this one, always happy to throw a little hope and optimism pill into into the offering dish of whatever it is we're doing here.
Yeah. No doomers here, only bloomers.
Yeah, flourish.
Not flourish. The Firefly Hollows message.
Yeah, go do magic. Go flourish.
Go flourish.
Make your life better. Make the life better of those around you once your life is better. And
Start from where you are and then see what you can do for someone else.
have fun.
My final message to the West.
Yeah.
Go get silly. Okay. Thank you so much. That was lovely. My Akashic record for the day is Scandroid's Neo Tokyo, specifically Dance with the Dead remix, because I had it in my head the whole time we were talking, because I was like, oh my god, this is such like a Neo Tokyo cyberpunk. Like even like the cover of the book is all like purple and blue. Like yeah, like we got to go with little Scandroid.
Yeah, and my Akashic record of the day is the Rootkit remix of Karma Field's Build the Cities.
Of course.
Because what is building a city if not building community through Hexorius? Hey!
And you like they call it house music because there's a house.
Exactly.
No,
You build your astral house.
yeah, your holy house. Yeah.
It's very pro-social because my neighbors are listening to house music
Because
all the time.
whether they want to. Oh my god. And the license to depart is actually one of the final things given in the book, right? This is basically a literal license to depart. It's when you finish your litany to the spirits. This is how you trace the sigil of Hexorius in the air, and you close with the following prayer.
Join me in my walk. May my feet walk your path and open my eyes to see beyond the obvious. O Hexorius, that through you find what my will seeks and express itself through your intervention. Now that I am in your domain, allow me to walk it safely, thus granting me, once my journey is over, to return to my plane with your blessing. Hail Hexorius, I thank you for granting me your guidance, grace, and protection. So be it, so it is, and so it is done.
Flourish beam! And now he is happy.